Praise ye Yahweh, sing unto Yahweh. So praising Yahweh is singing to him, right? A new song. And his praise in the congregation of saints, Israelites. Let Israel rejoice in him that made him. Let the children of the remembered ones, to Zion one, be joyful in their king. Let them praise his name, Yahweh. In the dance, let them sing. See, praise and sings in the same sentence. Sing praises unto him with the timbrel and the harp. For Yahweh taketh pleasure in his people, the Israelites. He will beautify the meek, we the meek, with salvation. He's going to save the elect. Salvation means to be saved from impending danger, right? Delivered from impending danger. Let the saints be joyful in glory. Let them sing or praise. Let them sing aloud upon thy beds. We're going to be getting up in the morning. So we're going to get up in the morning singing. And you're going to get up, you lay with one of your wives or concubines or whatever. So when we get up in the morning, we're going to have a smile on our face. That's what Psalm 149 is talking about. When we get up in the morning, we're going to be singing and dancing. We're going to go to sleep happy. We're going to get up happy. We're going to eat happy. Every time we eat some food, it's going to be good. So a typical morning in the kingdom, the first coming to America. Akeem, he was in the kingdom of heaven. So that's how we're going to be. We're going to be able to communicate with the animals. And you other nations, number one on the list is going to be you Edomites. You're going to be out in the field, getting your ass whipped, working your ass off. To Psalm 149, it said we're going to wake up praising the Most High in our beds. When we go to sleep, we're going to go to sleep happy. We're going to get a good night's sleep too. We ain't going to be waking up in the middle of the night coughing or going to the bathroom. There's a saying, waking up on the wrong side of the bed. We're going to wake up on the right side of the bed every day. Yeah. We're going to wake up on the right side of the bed. Our Johnsons are going to be at attention. Your women are going to be fine, no blemishes whatsoever. All your wives are going to be perfect. And all your wives are going to be virgins. And they're all going to be young. And none of them are going to commit adultery with you. The 7 women shall take hold of one man. It's going to happen on this side, brother. And it's going to continue to happen on the other side. Hey, the scripture said we're going to raise his name in the dance, right?
Psalm 149. Praise ye the Lord. Sing unto the Lord a new song, and his praise in the congregation of saints. Let Israel rejoice in him that made him. Let the children of Zion be joyful in their king. Let them praise his name in the dance. Let them sing praises unto him with the timbrel and harp. The Lord taketh pleasure in his people. He will beautify the meek with salvation. Let the saints be joyful in glory. Let them sing aloud upon their beds. Let the high praises of God be in their mouth, and a two-edged sword in their hand, to execute vengeance upon the heathen, and punishments upon the people, to bind their kings with chains and their nobles with fetters of iron, to execute upon them the judgment written. This honor have all his saints. Praise ye the Lord.
Good morning, Your Highness.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Kakodash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers, and peace and blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect out there pushing his word in truth and in sincerity across the 4 winds in the name of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the believers, the listeners whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah. All right, and what I want to get into, all right, today is the big story, of the of the world, is this World War. All right, update. But this conflict, okay, between the small hats and Iran, which are going to eventually lead to this third world war. And this is the major topic of the world. You look at news outlets, it's continual coverage, continual footage, continual updates. And we're just gonna go into and emphasize, from the perspective of prophecy, and that's the beautiful thing about prophecy. It allows us, to filter through, the rubble, okay, of all this news and get to, all right, the meat of things, okay, which ultimately right now all eyes on America. We're gonna go. I got some videos I want to get into, and we'll get into it. But I want to start off here with a precept, because I'm not gonna, usually when these things happen, because I usually, get excited when you see these things. But then what we'll see is a quick, off ramp. We talked about the off ramp, where they'll go at each other. These nations will have, you know, Israel will strike, Iran will strike, you know, Israel, strike back kind of soft, and Iran probably won't even respond because it was so soft, and it kind of died down, And I was thinking the same thing with this one, but the difference is with this one is the Israelis, they set the tone when they struck within Tehran, killing civilians and military, officials. So now these small hats have set a tone that Tehran, all right, is responding to very aggressively. And this is day 7 now. I believe they started June the 13th. So now it's the 20th. So now, okay, we're 7 days a week, all right, into the second week of this conflict. And what we're seeing is back to back every night, you know, every single night there's retaliatory strikes on both sides. So this is a war. Okay, it hasn't been, officially declared, but this is a war. Okay, is intense, and what we seeing now is prophecy beginning to speak louder and louder. Because when you go here to Ezekiel 12 and 25, I want to get into that word speak. It says, "For I'm the Lord Yahweh Bashim Al Shai, I will speak, and the word that I shall speak shall come to pass. It shall no more be prolonged. For in your days, O rebellious house, will I say the word and will perform it, said the Lord power." Now, let's get this word speak, because how does the Lord speak? If a brother want to post that in Hosea, I think there's 12 and 10. Okay. But you go to the word speak, which the Hebrew word is the bar. All right. In the Hebrew, that word is the bar. Okay. Now, when you go into the definition, says to speak, to declare, to converse, to command, to promise, to warn or threaten, okay, or to sing, as we're singing the new song. But when you go into the word speak, the bar, you go into this word to declare. See, the Lord is declaring through his prophets what's going to happen in the earth. You see, these are promises that we're seeing play out from the Most High. See, prophecy shows that He is, because you got the promises of our forefathers, okay, of their descendants ruling the earth forever. And then you have promises of judgment in the scriptures as well. Okay, so we're seeing these promises come to pass because the promises of judgment have to come before the promises, all right, that's established, through Yahweh Shah to our forefathers has to come to pass. So the prophets have been set up to warn, and the Lord has constantly been threatening the people. Now these things are beginning to speak louder and louder. Okay, as we know, I say the MOTB has to be made mandated before this thing goes full blown nuclear. Okay, but we're seeing escalations, man. We're seeing a big leap in the escalations, man. Okay, and there's a lot of big players being moved around and being staged. Okay, within this conflict, man. Okay, so let's go here to these. I got 2 videos I want to get into. One from Redacted, Okay, and the other one is from Conor McGregor. Now you go here, this is brother do it die you, Hosea 12 and 10. It says, I have also spoken by the mouth of the prophets. Okay, so that the bar, the word of the Most High, is flowing through the mouth of his prophets. Okay, the Most High doesn't deal directly with the masses, man. Okay, he has ambassadors, which are the prophets, and we've been telling you a war. Matter of fact, brother can post that too, Jeremiah 28 and 8. And I have multiplied visions and used similitudes by the ministry of the prophets, man. And also the visions that was given to our forefathers, they seen a lot of visions of war. Okay, a lot of different prophets seen the vision of war. Okay, Isaiah, he described the nukes as a scroll rolled in the clouds. Okay, Joel, he described the nukes as a great army. Okay, Jeremiah described the nukes as arrows. So all these things that the visions and the words, okay, that our forefathers, was given. Okay, we're beginning to see them speak more and more. Okay, now I want to go here. All right, Redacted got a pretty good segment, dealing with an update of what's going on, and we're going to show you that now everybody's waiting to see what America's going to do. Showing you that America, all right, is a focal point of prophecy, man. Everybody's waiting on Babylon, seeing how they're going to respond, okay, to this current conflict, because we everybody know that that's their man's, okay. The small hats, they know that America is their man's, okay. So they're going to stand by, all right, and let the and let the folks get whooped like that, man. Let their people get whooped like that. Okay, so America's in a situation, all right, and a lot of things hinge, okay, on what America does next. We're just going to take this thing to a whole nother level. Okay, so and they can these nations can get drawn into a war, and it can be a conventional war, for the next year, two. We don't know. You see, so just even if these nations, America enters and these other nations enter in. It could be conventional, for a while. All right, but eventually it's going to go nuclear, man. Or the Lord can wrap this thing up. He can have the CHIP mandated quickly, and the war, go there. You see, the Lord can he can fold this thing on up, man. You know, so we just have to be prepared either way. Because scriptures say our salvation is nearer than when we believe. Okay, so let's get this, and then I'm gonna go to this video. Okay, and we'll commentate from there in the spirit. But it's from the brother Do or Die Youth, Jeremiah 28 and 8. It said, the prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries and against great kingdoms of war, evil, and pestilence, man. So we're carrying on this legacy of our forefathers of prophesying against these great kingdoms, man. America's a great kingdom, this beast system. America, NATO, and EU, the Rome Empire revived in the earth. We're prophesying against it of war, all right, evil and pestilence, man. And that's what's to come. This is the stage that we're at with it, man. All right, this is what we're watching happen real time, man. So let's go from there and let's play this. All right, and they're gonna go into some things. We're gonna address a couple of things. I want to fast forward. I'm gonna fast forward to the interview that he has with this, this war analysis as well. All right.
Discussing this, which is the war right now between Iran and Israel and the U.S. by proxy, of course, and now maybe China by proxy as well. The White House says that President Trump is trying to decide right now about a war with Iran, but he just needs a few weeks to decide. Watch.
Regarding the ongoing situation in Iran, I know there has been a lot of speculation amongst all of you in the media regarding the president's decision making and whether or not the United States will be directly involved. In light of that news, I have a message directly from the president, and I quote, based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks. That's a quote directly from the president for all of you today. So we'll kick it off for questions here in our new media seat. We have Eli Lake from
Okay. So that's a
So Trump's response, he's going to make a decision in 2 weeks, and what's happening is Trump, he tried to threaten, he told, all right, Iran to stand down, to pretty much surrender. And what did Iran do? They ratcheted up the attacks, even with the threats of America. America has threatened, the supreme leader, okay, of Iran, with Twitter, and all this shit. You know how Trump do, man, on X, saying, "Oh, we know where you live," and all this, you know. So they was making all these threats, and they was pump faking like they was gonna get in the war, and Iran ain't budge. And, if anything, they've intensified. Okay, so now we see that prophecy is the driving force behind everything that we do. Okay, everything that happens in the earth is driven through prophecy, man. Okay, the spirit of the Lord, all right, is governing everything. What's that? Sirach 18 and verses 1 through 3. Okay, if a brother can get that, we'll get to that as well. Okay, so what we're seeing that the Lord, all right, has these nations, okay, in the spirit of war. Ain't no peace, ain't no bagging down. Okay, and then even if it is, some type of ceasefire, guess what? They still are right on deck to fulfill prophecy, man. Okay, see, we're at the point it can't go back to. It's certain dates that happen that you can't go back from. October 7th, when started the thing with Israel, the Israelis and Hamas. You can't go backwards from that. Thousands upon thousands of people have been destroyed. Gaza has been destroyed. You can't go back from that. This situation here, June 13th, what the small head did, you can't go back to the time before that. You see, the Lord got this thing constantly entering into new phases, man. Okay, and it's working in our favor. So let's play this some more. But the Trump latest statement is 2 weeks. So everybody waiting to see, all right, what America gonna do.
TBD, right? That's a to be determined. We're just really not sure whether or not we're going to go to war. The president needs some time to cool his jets, maybe meditate, maybe pray. Are you exhausted reading the tea leaves and then anything we're promised doesn't happen? We don't know what's happening. Well, Seymour Hersh reports just the opposite. He says today in his reporting that a war and an attack on Iran is happening within the next 48 hours over the weekend. His report is chilling and absolutely credible. Given his track record, he's a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist known for exposing the My Lai massacre, CIA abuses, the secret U.S. operations, the U.S. blowing up the Nord Stream pipeline. We trust him pretty much. Here's what he says, that what I've been told is that a war is coming. He says, this is a report on what is most likely to happen in Iran as early as this weekend, according to Israeli insiders and American officials I've relied upon for decades. It will entail heavy American bombing. I have vetted this report with a longtime U.S. official in Washington who told me that all will be under control if Iran's supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, departs. Just how that might happen, short of his assassination, is not known. There's a great deal of talk about American firepower and targets inside Iran, but little practical thinking, as far as I can tell, about how to remove a revered religious leader with an enormous following. What the F does that mean, you guys? We really don't know. He's saying that an attack is imminent. They are full on planning for regime change, but they're calling it depart. What does that mean? Depart the planet? Depart the soul, departs the body? Clayton, any?
Departs, yeah, I mean, gets on a like a shuttle and like heads out somewhere. I mean, I don't exactly know. Iran, though, is ignoring Donald Trump's demand for unconditional surrender. The country's supreme leader shot down Trump's message on saying that there's no way the Islamic Republic will surrender, and
the Iranian leader says the U.S. will face if it's a military fray. The Ayatollah also said 6 days that the battle begins.
So yeah, man. So now you have speculation of Trump, America threatened, Israel supreme leader. Okay, and then you have Iran, letting America know like shit, you can get it too. You catch that fade too. You see, that's pretty much why Iran there with. All right. And they tried to have talks with America. Remember, they was 2 days away from scheduled talks with America about the nuclear deal. And then this happened. Why? Because prophecy, man. The Lord don't want no peace deal. He don't want no new nuclear agreement with America and Iran. No, this is what he wants. Okay. And he wants to smoke because it's all leading to who? Yahweh Shai. Because remember, he's going to send Yahweh Shai in the midst, okay, of these things. Matter of fact, my brother get that in 2nd Ezra 13 verses 30 and 31. So let me get this. All right, this is Sirach, the brother do or die. You Sirach 18:1 says, "He that liveth forever have created all things in general." Okay, which is the Heavenly Father. You see, it says the Lord only is righteous, and there is none other but He. Okay, it's the point. Verse 3. And it says, "Who governeth the world with the palm of his hand, and all things obey his will, for he is the king of all, and by his power dividing holy things, all right, from the profane." So everything is subjugated to the will, all right, of Yahweh B'Shem Al-Shai. And we read prophecy, that's the future will of the Lord. That's the Lord's will for the future. So we know, according to the prophecy, that the Lord's will is for these nations to go to war. All right, Zephaniah 3:8. What brother want to get that? Zephaniah 3:8 and Sirach 13 verses 30 and 31. Okay, so what we're seeing is the will of the Lord just take over the narrative, man. And these nations are being driven to a point, okay, of no return. All right. At the same time, this AI infrastructure is becoming more and more prevalent. All right. In day-to-day society, people are more dependent on this AI infrastructure, which is conditioning them for the MOTB. So prophecy is speaking, man. Prophecy is screaming in the earth. Okay. So let's play this. Some more.
Just talk? Is it just bluster? Or are we in for hell on earth as the night unfolds? So what we've seen so far hasn't really been a battle at all. Just like an opening salvo. I spoke to some Israeli friends today in Tel Aviv, former IDF, who said it's about to get very dangerous. Every night they're sleeping in a bunker, children going to sleep. They said, my children don't even know that there's a war because around 8:30 every night, that's when the war starts. And that's when we put them to bed inside the bunker.
Can you imagine?
I mean, this is where things are right now. You have civilians, of course, who are going to be caught collaterally in all of this. That's what's happening.
And this was done to them by Netanyahu, by the Netanyahu government that they do not support, that attacked Iran and then declared a state of emergency in their own borders and locked down the airspace so that nobody can leave, using their own people as fodder.
So what we've seen so far hasn't really been a battle at all, I guess. What does he actually mean by that the battle is just beginning? Does he mean that China is coming, that Russia is coming? A few hours ago, China did send their ships, 2 electronic surveillance ships, the A-55, the A-15A, to the Persian Gulf. China has very deep ties to Iran and is very worried, of course, that their proxy would be eliminated. They have massive deals, the Belt and Road Initiative, massive oil deals. Is China going to sit idly by while one of their main partners is eliminated? Overnight, Iran launched multiple missiles.
So, yeah, China has some resources to the Persian Gulf. Okay, China has sent resources. So this lets you know that this is these nations showing. See, when the small hats in Iran get into it, the earth get divided, and all these nations start picking sides. Okay, so China has sent resources to Iran. Okay, because Iran is a major part of China's energy sector. All right, China is heavily dependent on manufacturing, and they need the Iranian oil, okay, to fuel their manufacturing sector. There are certain oil fields in Iran that only produce oil for China. Okay, their whole that you have certain oil fields in Iran where their only customer is China. Okay, China not gonna chill, and Russia and China are joined at the hip. They coming together. Okay, even in Ukraine, China has been aiding Russia in this fight with Ukraine. Okay, so now we're seeing moves being made. Okay, that's going to lead, all right, into, because a world war is a fight on multi fronts between multi nations, man. But this a situation with the small hats in Iran, this gonna be the powder keg, you know. So let's play this some more. They're gonna jump to this interview.
Missile strikes into the heart of Tel Aviv, striking military targets. They also hit Tel Aviv's largest hospital, which sits right next to military facilities. Of course, that's the dirty truth in all of this, right? That most of Israel's most important intelligence and military targets sit next to civilian infrastructure. Their version of the Pentagon that was hit last week sits next to civilian high-rise buildings. Civilians, of course, are good human shields. Israel doesn't want you to know the extent of its damage or any of the damage that it's inflicting. The government has issued an unprecedented order restricting Israeli media from publishing details about the war, like the videos that you're seeing right here on your screen, being banned by the IDF, not allowing you to see a lot of this unfolding in and around Tel Aviv specifically. The Tel Aviv, the Israeli Stock Exchange was hit. Interceptor missiles fall. Here's the Israeli Stock Exchange that was hit. Interceptor missiles that are falling into civilian areas. So these are Israel's own Iron Dome interceptor missiles, which are going right through the roofs of civilians in their own neighborhoods. They don't want you to see that. They don't want you to see civilian deaths. The IDF military censor applies to Israeli media and any foreign media operating inside of Israel. So like if you're a Fox News reporter, if you're an MSNBC reporter, anything, like you're being told basically what you're allowed to show and not allowed to show at this point. The censorship rule extends beyond Gaza, banning Israeli press from publishing stories that could damage national morale or aid the enemy. In other words, don't show what's really going on here, the fog of war. But this just popped up in Tel Aviv, calling on President Trump to finish the job. This was a big banner rolled out right across Tel Aviv today, which shows finish the job. All right.
Yeah, man. So they're begging, all right, America to get involved, okay? Because they started a fight that they can't finish. They're nowhere near equipped to finish this, okay? So, yeah, and you see, all right, that the small hats, how they built Tel Aviv, they built a lot of their military infrastructure right in the middle, all right, of residential areas, man. Well, see, Tehran used to be courteous of that. Now, Tehran has been pushed to the point. It's like, someone humbled and they finally snap. Like that's how Tehran is moving. You know, when someone's humble, they really, unconfrontational. They try to avoid confrontation, but when they finally snap, so the things that Iran used to have courteous about, that's not there anymore. Okay, that's gone. So whatever, all right, those military installments said, you don't give a damn what's around it, they being hit. Okay, and then like I say, the Lord got to where those missile defense projectiles are missing those Iranian missiles, then falling back on Israeli civilians, man. Okay, the Lord's a just power, man. You can't just do genocide after genocide and just destroy and nothing happens to you, man. Okay, so the same thing, same way they did Gaza, Iran is doing them. Okay, the same way they pummeled Gaza, Iran is doing it to them. We're seeing a bully being bullied, and now they calling on the other bully, America, to jump in. Okay, so the pressure is on America, man. All right, and America knows that war with Iran ain't gonna be sweet. Okay, so let's go here. I want to fast forward to the interview, and he's gonna bring out some points too. This guy here, Colonel Dan Davis. All right, so he's ex-military as well. So let's play this.
Watching what's unfolding, because it's like minute to minute right now. The Israeli media clamping down on this, really a censorship regime put in place, so you can't see what's happening there. Yesterday, we had Dr. Gilbert Doctorow on the show, who says that the Iron Dome has about a week left. I spoke to some Israelis today inside of Tel Aviv who say that may or may not be true, but imagine waking up every day having to spend $40 million on using interceptors. He's like, these Israelis told me that there's a lie being told about the Iron Dome, that when we see these missiles coming in, these hypersonics or these other missiles coming in from Iran, that we're launching like one interceptor from the Iron Dome and we're having a 90% success rate. That's a lie. We're sending up dozens of interceptors from the Iron Dome, and almost all of them are failing. We may get one or two successfully that hit. So we're expending millions upon millions of dollars from the Iron Dome on a regular basis. Then you saw Seymour Hersh's reporting that says that the Iranian strike is coming from the president. What is your assessment, Colonel?
Yeah, listen, in terms of the Iron Dome, it's a multi-layered system. It's the Iron Dome, it's the David Sling, it's the Arrow 3, it's the U.S. THAAD system, U.S. Patriot systems, and according to Netanyahu earlier today, also our Aegis ships in the sea off the coast, all of which are trying to help provide air defense for Israel. But as we had Ted Postal, a former MIT professor, on the show yesterday, who graphically depicted that there are whole scores of flows of Iranian missiles that come in that don't even have an attempt at an interception. And then some of the video where there were some attempts, you see most of them miss. It's looking like somewhere around 10% effectiveness, which is actually surprising in some regards. It's that high because a lot of the interceptor missiles, especially those the hypersonic missiles, there's nothing that either we or Israel has that can intercept those. That's why they're having such effect on the ground. So we need to understand that very clearly, that this mirage that Israel had this protective air defense dome over it, which was always a myth, now is being exposed as a myth. And who knows that maybe that's the reason why Trump postponed for his alleged answer for whether or not he's going to join the war for a couple of weeks, because maybe they want to get more interceptors in for Israel, because I mean, at least 10% is better than no percent. So maybe they need to restock that. I don't have any independent knowledge about whether they're running out of interceptor missiles a lot. I read the Wall Street Journal article that said that they were running low. It stands to reason, because when you use that many missiles over this concentrated period of time, you're going to run short on them. And we don't have the capacity to continue to manufacture these things at pace. We can't do it for ourselves, for Ukraine, or Israel. So hopefully President Trump is looking at some spreadsheets and going, it wouldn't be a good idea to get into a war that we don't have the capacity to continue to wage to protect our people and still have any kind of a success. So I really hope that's what is going on.
Now, it gives us a sense that Israel and the American administration, no matter who's in power in the Uniparty, has lied to us about an Iron Dome, giving us this false sense of security that it can be done when clearly it can't. And Israelis should feel lied to about this, watching bombs rain down in a city they said they were told this couldn't happen to. But is there maybe some tactical, it's awful to say this, but people have been dying there for years now, that let Israel run out and then they have to negotiate when their government shows no appetite for negotiation. In fact, they launched this to thwart negotiations. Is there who has to die in the meantime, but is that a tactic?
Well, listen, I mean, it's not like they need to run out. I mean, I think that they need to be cognizant they don't have a protection now. Whether they have another 500 missiles or not, they're still going to get a very small percentage of the incoming missiles. Of course, we also don't know how many more Iran has. There's some allegations they have several thousand more that they could use. Some people claim they're getting close to the end. No one really knows. We'll just have to wait and see what continues to happen. I'm pretty confident that Iran would, even if they were getting low, they would have reserved a certain amount for the expectation that they have to fight the United States someday, and they don't want to do that empty-handed. So
So you have the Iron Dome only intercepting 10%. Okay, and speculating 10% of the incoming missiles. That's terrible. Okay, you have a better chance of just trying to, if you're on the ground, just trying to play dodgeball with the missiles, because Iron Dome is trash. Okay, and they don't know what's Iran stockpile of missiles. They just guessing. Esau was looking bad at the end of his rulership. Like this nigga's looking terrible. So he just guessing. He just hoping Iran doesn't have as many missiles as they say they got, if not more. And it's the spirit, because when you go into King Cyrus, which he was a Persian, he was around the day he would be considered Iranian. All right. But when he came into power as a young king, and he went up against Lydia, and Lydia was like the richest kingdom, all right, in the Mesopotamia at the time. So him and Cyrus, Cyrus went to war with him to take down Lydia. And one of the strategies of, the king of Lydia, I think it was like Astyages, if I'm saying it right. But they was in a war one time, and one of his strategies when he got pinned down by the Persian army was that we just gonna wait it out till they run out of arrows. Well, the Persians never ran out of arrows, all right, and the Lydians were slaughtered. Okay, and this is like the same, all right, mindset that the small has got. Like we just gonna wait till they run out of missiles. Okay, which arrows, a missile like the modern day arrows. Okay, well, this is the Israeli strategy, man. We just gonna get pummeled, and eventually they gonna run out. And you had people speculate that Iran can do this for weeks, some months. But Iran says, shit, we could do this for a year, But what a horrible way to find out real time. Okay, while the missiles are coming in, how many missiles they got. Okay, so let's, let's let this play some more.
I'm sure that they have some decent amount left. That needs to be happening. What you described, they're finding a way out of this diplomatically needs to be happening right now. But unfortunately, from all I've seen today, and I saw a number of comments from Netanyahu, that he's just trying, like, doubling down and trying to suck the United States in to fight this for him, because I think they realize militarily they're not going to be able to win this on the ground or achieve any kind of success that they may want. They're not going to be able to take out the Fordo system. And by the way, just to be clear, in case anybody's confused on this, the claim that our GBU-57 bunker buster, that 30,000-pound bomb, would take out Fordo, I think is very unlikely to be accurate, because what nobody that I've seen is talking about this in the Western side is that the Iranians apparently, according to apparently some Chinese sources, have developed their system so that instead of like just a bunch of ground or just concrete that the missile could try to penetrate through, it's actually broken up in granite and some angles. And so when the missile comes in, it will knock it off course. And
the brother said there was no sound. Is there sound coming through on y'all end? I don't know. Y'all let me know. Okay, come, bro. All right.
and deflected, and then it can be broken up by the other pieces. Probably 50 feet is about all you're going to get, and you got to go more than 300 to get there if you know where under the ground at Fordo the actual systems are, and we don't know that. So everybody needs to understand the chances of us actually taking this out, even if we enter the fight, is pretty low. And why would you want to risk something that has a low probability of success and a high probability of getting Americans killed in the blowback that it would definitely come is anybody's guess. I again hope that's the reason why Trump delayed, because sources I had in the White House told me that the chance that there would have been a bomb dropped by this weekend was pretty high, and now all of a sudden it looks like it won't be. But then again, who can really tell with Trump, right? He can change his mind anytime.
So basically, what he's saying, because there is certain bombs that America got, what you call the Moab, all right, the mother of all bombs, and they call it bunker busters, that it can penetrate so far into the ground, all right, and they saying that's what needed to destroy Iran's nuclear facilities. Well, he's explaining that, well, first off, those bombs, they can penetrate 50 feet on the ground, okay, but those facilities are speculated to be 300 feet on the ground, and you still don't know exactly where they are. So pretty much you will be guessing. It'd be a guess job. You see? But the blowback ain't gonna be guessing. See, if America come in and they drop them bunker busters, okay, and they guess, okay, and it's a good chance that they don't get the job done. All right, they just out there guessing. Well, Iran's retaliation ain't gonna be guessing. It's gonna be precise. When they start striking American assets, it's gonna be precise. So he's saying, why would you even risk? Okay, but we know why, because it's prophecy, man. This is how you know that it's prophecy, man, because it doesn't make logical sense what the small ass or America is doing, how they moving, but it's prophecy, man. Okay, go ahead. I'm gonna let you play some more.
Maybe a two-pronged question here. What does China do? Sources I've been speaking to today say this is the big wild card here. China will not lose their proxy in Iran. They have massive deals, Belt and Road Initiative deals with Iran, massive amounts of oil deals that fuel China. They are not going to allow Iran to fall. So what will China do? And I guess the other piece of this is when you hear Khomeini say that the battle has just begun and Israel is sort of like, battening down the hatches for tonight in the next 48 hours could be pivotal. What do you think that he means by the battle has just begun?
Well, I think that I guess, well, let me take your questions in order. First of all, about the Chinese. I mean, a lot of reports have been suggesting over the last 2 or 3 days, a lot of Chinese transports, 747 style aircraft have come in delivering something. We don't know what. I actually think the bigger issue is what Vladimir Putin said. I think it was earlier today, maybe it was yesterday. I saw the video this morning where he said, listen, we're going to be, my people are going to be at the Bashir nuclear facility. We might go as many as 600 people in there, and we are not leaving, making it clear that if you want to go to war with Russia, you hit that facility. But otherwise, he said, we're not going to leave. So that raises the stake and the possibility of escalation, or else Israel will simply fail in its objective to destroy the nuclear capacity if they can't hit Bashir. And I don't know what other sources he may be under. But I'm sorry, what was the second part of your statement there?
So real quick, that's heavy. All right, that's heavy news because it said China has been importing 747s and they don't know what it is. Okay, and you best believe, all right, it's them tools. Okay, Iran is being supplied by China real time. And then what Russia did, because the whole thing is them trying to destroy Iran's nuclear facilities. So this is what Russia said. Russia said, well, we're going to place 600 men in one of these facilities. Okay? And we not moving. So that's Russia making a hard stance with Iran. Okay? So this is why everything hinges on what America does, man. Okay? That's why you even go here. I'm going to go back to it. But you get this, all right? Because this is a powder keg, situation. You go to the powder keg. All right, it says powder keg. It says in imminent danger in an explosive situation. Okay, in an explosive situation. Okay, Now you go down, it says a situation or place that could easily become extremely dangerous. Okay, and it gives an example what the buildup of forces in the region is creating a powder keg. Okay, in which you got the brother that put the precept earlier, or where is it? This brother do or die youth, Zephaniah 3 and 8. Therefore, wait ye upon me, said the Lord, until the day that I rise up to the prey. For my determination is to gather the nations that I may assemble the kingdoms to pour upon them. All right. Mine indignation, even all my fierce anger, for all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy. So the Heavenly Father, through Yahweh Shai, is gathering these nations for this powder keg event. It's gonna get extremely dangerous quick. And how America move. All right, everything is hinging on America. How they gonna move? Like I say, China is already shipping resources to Iran. Okay, Russia gonna put their men in a nuclear facility, and they're saying we not moving. Okay, so let's go here to the word hinge. So this is heavy. What's happening? It says a hinge. It says I had got another definition. Um, and you go here. Yeah, it said dependency or contingency. It said the most common slang meaning of hinge is in the phrase hinge on or hinge upon, meaning that something's success or failure depends on a particular factor. Okay. And Esau's failure depends on how he's gonna move. And we know how he's gonna move. Okay, because Esau, hey, and Esau. He can feel he at the threshold. Because once America walked through that door, ain't no going back. You know, like what his kingdom is hinging on these moments, and the Lord gonna force him through that door, man. Okay, so let's go back to the video. Then I got one more I want to go into.
Just about the battle
about
just beginning.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So listen, Iran fought. They suffered over 1 million casualties. Some have it even higher than that, but apparently the low end is a million. Over 8 years, they know what it means to suffer, and they were willing to put forth whatever effort is needed to continue to survive as a nation. And of course, the hope is that a lot of these folks have had, Lindsey Graham being apparently the chief among them, is that they want a regime change, and they figure that they'll try Libya style to weaken the government apparatus enough so that they can't control the population. Then the population will rise up and overthrow him. I suppose there's some possibility of that. I think it's pretty low, though, because Iran is aware of that. They are certainly aware of the Libyan model, and I think that they have built-in fire breaks for that. But if that doesn't happen, I mean, you can't win a war by just lobbing a bunch of bombs in a country as big as Iran. I mean, for crying out loud, it's whatever it is, like 20 times bigger than Israel or so, and much bigger than Iraq. So you're not going to defeat that nation by lobbing a few missiles. So I really don't know what the Israeli objective, their military objectives are, because it seems pretty unlikely to me they're going to succeed in any of them.
Now, talk a little bit about the way that this is presented to the American people, as if it will be easy, as if, precision strikes is all it takes, is that we can minimize civilian deaths, as if Iran is this backwater that, there's nothing there anyway, so who cares what we do to it? This is all a part of the narrative we saw selling us the war in Iraq.
Yeah, there are too many illusions between the 2003 Iraq War and this one for my comfort. The least of which is that it's not going to be that hard. And, when trying to sell us on all this information that, intelligence says that they were just about to have a bomb, and we just have to take their word for it, even though all of our intelligence sources said that they didn't, and they didn't have a plan. They didn't have an intention to do so, or the they have started. Now, they do have the capacity, and events like this what that has happened to the bomb, do this. You make the that guarantee security is by your bomb. This will push them in that to working diplomatic, do that. The Lindsey Grahams of this world, the Ted Cruzes of this world, no, they want to join in with Benjamin Netanyahu to destroy and kill everybody in the Middle East they don't want. And what is it? Newt Gingrich last night went on Fox News on Hannity and said this is a golden opportunity. This is going to be the Gorbachev Thatcher moment. It's going to be Trump and Netanyahu, and they're going to usher in this peace. They're going to put in place a friendly government that's friendly to the West inside Iran. It's going to be great. And I'm like, what planet are you guys living on? I mean, have you been smoking some cocaine or something? Because
Planet war propaganda. That's their plan.
Yeah, it is. But, you know, even if you take morality out of it, why pursue something that has almost no chance of success unless you're like, well, maybe if we roll the dice and it happens to work, cool. And if not, well, it's just the Israeli people and the Iranian people that die. So
as you can see, strategically, you know, these things don't make sense, but prophetically, it makes perfect sense. Now let's go here. I want to, I'm gonna go to the towards the end of this one and play this one. You know,
what's really fun? Making a website on Wix.
Hey, where?
Country like Pakistan.
All right, because like I said, everything is hinging on America and what they do. You know, so matter of fact, yeah, I get that. So I'm playing a few minutes of this and get a few more. We get out of here, but all roads, you know, go through America, man. And we know how they're gonna move. Now, when they're gonna make that move, who's to say? You know, when they make that move, you know, how long is conventional war gonna sustain? You know, be sustained before it goes nuclear. Okay, those things all, you know, a time will tell. Okay, like we here at the threshold, okay, of major escalation. Okay, if America, you know, gets directly involved, you know, so let's play a few minutes of this.
That has a certain amount of friction with Iran because it's a Shia state would also do the same thing for Iran, but I suspect they will. In other words, I don't think Pakistan will launch something from Pakistan. Whatever happens, it will come from another location, probably in Iran or somewhere else nearby, and therefore be used against us and Israel. Now, when I say us, we're not really representing target arrays at this point for nuclear weapons. And I don't think to suppress us or damage us, the Iranians need a nuclear weapon. If there were a nuclear weapon involved, it would only come in response to something the Israelis did. And if the Israelis use a nuclear weapon, they can bet 100% that one will be thrown back at them.
And that's something too, you know, because everybody like, well, why won't Israel just nuke them? They got nukes. Okay, it's like people have this delusion in their minds if things go one way. You know, you think you're gonna throw a nuke out there, ain't no nuke gonna come back. You know, it's like, you know, when people say I'm gonna slap you, well, goddamn, you can't get slapped back. You know, so all this you know, talk as if the small has got this leverage because, you know, they're known to have nukes. Well, just like you've been surprised on many other things, the Iron Dome don't work. Iran's precision with their missiles, Iran's, you know, ability to replace, you know, their leaders and continue on being effective in the battlefield. All these surprises that you keep getting. So you think the surprise is gonna stop when you send a nuke? Okay, like ain't nothing gonna come back. All right.
If the United States, if Donald Trump, the president of the United States, decides to wage a serious and substantial attack on Iran, is the United States mainland, where you and I and people we know and love and work with and 330 million other Americans live, at risk?
Yes, we still have the strategic soft underbelly of the United States. It's a place called Mexico and the Caribbean Basin. And any number of things could find their way into the United States from that region. We've got probably 30 to 31 million people in the United States about whom we know absolutely nothing that came in over the last 4 years. And as Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard pointed out months ago, we don't know anything about them, but we know that they include many terrorist and criminal organizations from the Middle East and Central America. And we should expect that they will manifest themselves. Now, how will they do it? Where will they do it? I don't know, but we've got numerous nuclear power stations, power grids. And as you know, we have people that are vulnerable in all sorts of places, malls and elsewhere. So any number of terrible things could happen. And it's interesting to me that people are trying to make fun of or mock the Iranians for their inability to keep out intelligence agents from operating inside their country. Well, Iran is a little less than half the size of the United States. We are enormous, with borders and coastal waters that stretch for thousands of miles. We haven't even controlled those borders or coastal waters very well for years. Anyone who thinks that we are somehow or another invulnerable to this kind of activity is crazy. I'm sure there are all sorts of cells operating inside the United States that could pose very serious risk to us. And I think we ought to take it very seriously. Hopefully, President Trump is being told about it. You know, how many millions of illegals that include terrorists or criminals are we dealing with out of 31 million? Is it 500,000, 100,000, 200,000? And we have no more than 21,000 ICE officers? Are we kidding ourselves? We're in a lot of trouble, Judge.
Would Iran have an easy time of attacking the American troops that are in the Middle East?
Well, I don't know if I would call it an easy time, but could they be attacked and could we sustain thousands of casualties? The answer is absolutely. These bases stretch across Jordan down through what we used to call the Shia Crescent or Mesopotamia, down into Qatar, Bahrain, and other locations, even in Saudi Arabia, where we have airfields and air bases. And the Iranians have made it very clear that if any of these states offer their bases to American access, that they're at risk. We also don't know what would happen in Jordan. That's a very tenuous place right now. The population there is very explosive in its attitudes, and the violence that could break out there could also affect us. I don't know what the Shiite militias and others in the region would do to our remaining bases in Syria or Iraq, but I don't think it would be friendly.
Look, the code to losing weight was cracked a long time ago. The problem is nobody is doing it.
Yeah, so let's go here because, America is going to get a lot of backlash. Just like these small hats are being hit like they never hit, America's going to be hit like they never hit because America has this false sense of security as well, especially the people. They have no clue how vulnerable they are, all right, to these other nations. The Lord has, all right, drastically, tilted the scales of power in the earth, okay? And it's going to be found out real time that America, all right, is not what it's been cracked up to be. That the terror and that, that reputation that America's been riding on, it's going to be shattered, just like those small hats, and that Iron Dome myth, okay, as if they was untouchable, has been completely shattered. All right, and America is going to get it on an even much more, all right, on a much grand scale. Okay, now this is the book of Jeremiah 50 and 20. Okay, because it's going to reach America, it's going to touch America, man. And it's going to, the final touch is going to be those, the finishing touches is going to be the missiles, man. All right, it says, go up to the land of Marathon, even against it, and against the inhabitants of Akkad, waste and utterly destroy after them, said the Lord, and do according to all that I have commanded thee. Okay, and this is speaking of America, man. This is a decree going out from the Lord to all these nations, man. All right, to where America is going to be done. You see, the Lord has a hit out on America, man. You know, from these different nations. Okay, the chariots, your house shy, like the Lord, all right, has a major hit out on America, man. All right, and America is falling into that trap. All right, so you go into his word, all right, marathon in the Hebrew is marah dayum, marah dayum, marah dayum, and it says what, a double rebellion, another name of Babylon. Okay, double bitterness, man. You know, which things have been double. This captivity has been double bitter for us, but now the Lord is finna visit. Okay, this place, man. All right, and America is known for its rebellion against righteousness, man. Okay, and then it said, I also call it the land of Pakad. All right, which in the Hebrew is Paquad. All right, Paquad. All right, which goes into what, a visitation. So we're finna see a visitation from, all right, the Lord to this double rebellion of Babylon, is why it's known as Babylon the Great. So you read down in verse 22, it says, the sound of battle is in the land and of great destruction, man. The war drums are beating. You know, the war drums are being, you know, drawn, man. Okay, so how is the hammer, okay, or the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How is Babylon become a desolation among the nations? Okay, and that's going to be the sentiment in the earth, is how is this great power destroyed? Like, damn, you know, it's going to be quick. It's going to be a build up, and then it's going to be a quick, all right, decapitation, man. It says, I have laid a snare for thee, and thou art also taken. So the Lord is laying a snare for America, and America's finna take the bait. We're watching America get ready to take the bait because they jumped their ass in here. Okay, whether it's 3 months down the line, a year or a year and a half down the line, they jump into this snare. It's over, which they're going to do it. Okay, they engage in this conflict. Okay, and that's going to be them snapping into their snare. All right, because that conflict is going to lead, all right, to America being a desert, man. It says, "Oh Babylon, thou was not aware." All right, well, yeah, thou art found and also caught because thou hast striven against the Lord Yahweh by Shema Shai. Okay, so America, all right, is being put in the snare and the trap because why? They've striven, they fought against the Lord. American culture is nothing but anti-Messiah culture, man. Okay, and the Lord is going to revenge himself on America by turning it to a complete desert, man. All right, and we're seeing the build up to it. So that was the point. You know, just wanted to get into that. Give an update on what's been going on these last few days. You know, so we'll keep watching. You know, and like I said, we'll report. You know, and hey, this is us watching for our salvation, man. Look up because our redemption draws nigh. You know, so Lord will you, brothers. All right, and you sisters edified once again. Want to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Kakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers, and peace and blessing, salutation, hopefully, shalom.